Welcome back to Namaste DSA, my dear friends. Today we are going to solve a problem, reverse integer. So as the problem statement, as the problem name suggests, we just have to reverse an integer, which is the input, and we have to return that result from our function. So now, the important part to note over here is that this is a medium problem, surprisingly. And we are given a signed 32-bit integer x, okay? So this is a signed 32-bit integer. You have to note that down. Because see, whenever it's a signed 32-bit integer, so it should fall inside this range. So this is a typical corner case that we'll have to handle, but we'll solve everything. Don't you worry, right? But we just have to kind of like, in a nutshell, we have to reverse an integer. So this problem is kind of like, suppose if the input is 1 to 3, it should give me 3 to 1. If we have a negative number, it should give me minus 3 to 1. Basically, you are just reversing the number, right? That's what you are doing, right? If it's 1 to 3, you just spell it backward 3 to 1, but it should be with sign, right? Suppose if it's a negative number, it should again be a negative number. So let's try to see how we'll solve this problem. Now, if you have not solved the previous problem, palindrome, then I would request you to please go ahead and solve that problem first before you come over here, palindrome number, because we have seen the similar kind of concept of reversing a number in palindrome also. This problem also looks very, very similar, right? We will be doing a somewhat very similar kind of a thing, right, over here in this. So now, let me explain you once again, how do you reverse a number programmatically? So suppose if your number is, this is kind of like a recap of previous video. Suppose if a number is 1432, right? Sorry, my bad. Just a moment. Suppose if my number is 1432, okay? So now, how do you find out the last digit of the number, right? So basically you do n mod by 10, you get the last digit. Over here you will get, you will get 2 over here, right? Similarly. And then we will basically, what we have to do is, and then we keep on removing the last digit from the original number. We will do 143, right? Which will happen by n is equals to n divided by 10, right? Basically, if I do n is equals to n divided by 10, so it will remove the last digit. And we will keep on adding this in reverse. We have seen this concept of reverse in palindrome number problem. If you have not solved that problem, then please go solve that problem, then come over here, because I'm not repeating the same explanation once again, how to reverse a number. So let's just start writing code, right? Let me just tell you how we can write code. So first of all, we will assume that we will store the reverse number over here in REV, okay? Reverse number 0, right? What we will now do is we will run a while loop. We will run a while loop which will go till my n is greater than 0, okay? Till my n is greater than 0. What I'll do now is I'll calculate the last digit or the remainder. Let's call this as last, right? How do you calculate the last digit? You just do a mod by 10, right? It calculates the last digit. Now when you get the last digit, now you just have to do REV is equals to 10 into REV plus this last digit. Why I am doing this? If you are not understanding this, please again go to palindrome video. You will understand why I am doing this, right? Over there I have told you that I have explained why that reverse is calculated this way. Now we have got this last digit reverse. Now what we'll do is we will just actually be dividing the number by 10, so that we are removing the initial case, right? Initial number. Now that's all, and we will keep running this in loop, keep running this in loop, keep running this in loop, right? So this is how our loop will run again and again. Now what we'll do, my reverse will contain the reverse of the number, right? My reverse will now contain reverse of this number, and then I can safely reverse the number, right? This is how we can calculate the reverse of a number. But now there is an important thing that we are missing in this problem, that is handling the negative case, right? So let me just first of all dry run and show you the positive case, right? Suppose if my number is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Let's dry run how this will work. Then we will handle the negative case also, right? So what we will do is, suppose if my number is 1, 2, 3, 4. So how will this algorithm works over here? I will find out the last digit, right? N is 1, 2, 3, 4. We will keep running this loop till it is greater than 0. Last digit is 4 over here. Then I will calculate the reverse. So reverse is 0. 10 into 0, 0 plus the last digit. That means reverse will become 4 over here. Okay. And then n is equals to n divided by 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will become 1, 2, 3 now. Right. So now this loop will run once again. Right. This loop will run once again. Now it will check whether it is greater than 0. Yes, it is greater than 0. Again, it will calculate the last digit. Now my last digit becomes 3. Now what will happen to reverse? Reverse is 10 into reverse. Reverse was 4. 10 into 4, 40 plus last digit. That means 43. So now my reverse becomes 43. Got it? And then my n is equals to n by 10. That means my number becomes 1, 2, 3 divided by 10. That means 12. It becomes 12. Now 12 will again go. Again we will find the last digit. The last digit will be 2 over here. We will again add it to the reverse. So my reverse will become 432 now. And then this 12 will become 1. It will again run the loop. Last digit will become 1. Reverse will become 4321. And then the number becomes 0. Number becomes 0. This loop ends. That's how this whole code will work, right? And then we will get the reverse number and we will return the reverse number. This code works perfectly fine for positive numbers. But what about negative numbers, right? Now our code runs perfectly fine for positive numbers. It does not run fine for negative numbers, right? So suppose if my number is n is equals to minus 1, 2, 3. So my code will not even go at this point, right? It will fail. My loop will not even execute. So n is minus 1, 2, 3. So while my n is greater than 0, this will not even go beyond this point, right? So my code, this whole code does not work for negative numbers, right? For negative numbers, our code fails. How will I make it work for negative numbers is a little tricky, right? N is minus 123, it will not go beyond this point, and the reverse will be 0, right? It will return 0 for any negative number. So how can I handle this case? Let me now show it to you. So what we will do for negative numbers is, see, our code works perfectly fine for positive numbers, right? So what we will do is, I will initially create a copy of my original number, right? I will create a original number copy, right? N copy is equals to my original numbers copy, right? I will create a copy of this number. And what I will do is, once I create a copy of this number, I will actually change my number. I will actually change my number to n is equals to math.abs absolute n. What is this math.abs, right? I will first of all make a copy, right? I will make a copy of this n. This is another variable. I can say let n copy is equals to n. And then I will do math.abs n. Why I am doing this? This math.abs function basically converts all the negative number to positive numbers, right? If you do abs of minus 121, so it will return 1 to 1. Right? Suppose if you do a ABS of positive number 1 to 1, it will not do anything. It will return the same number, right? So basically, I'm trying to convert my negative number to positive number because my algorithm works perfectly fine for positive numbers, right? Now, what we will do is, suppose if my n is minus 123, so my number now becomes what? Let me just tell you, right? So initially, suppose my number was minus 123. Now my number becomes 123, and the reverse becomes 123, right? This reverse will become, the reverse will become what? Reverse will become 3 to 1. But this time it is positive. This time it is positive. But when I am returning it, so I will change my condition a little. When I am returning the value, what I will do is I will check if my copy of that number, was negative. How would I check that? If my copy of that number was negative, so what I will do is I will return minus reverse. Otherwise, I will return reverse, right? So basically what I will do is, suppose if my original number was negative, I have created a copy over here. If my original number was negative, I will return the reverse with a negative sign. If my original number was positive, I will return it with a positive sign. So this is a small case that we can handle, right? So this is how we can handle the negative values over here, right? So now let us just write the code, and then let me write the code, and then I will again explain if you did not understand, right? Don't worry. So initially we have this x over here. So I will create a copy of this number, okay? Let x copy is equals to x, so that, because see, we are modifying and manipulating the original numbers, that's why I'm just creating a copy of this number. Now what I'll do is I'll calculate the reverse over here, right? And then before I have made a copy, now I will just do x is equals to mat.abs. I will convert my number to my positive number. Okay. Now let reverse is equals to 0, right? Initially I will do 0, and then I will run a loop, and then I will say x is greater than 0. Keep running this loop till my x is greater than 0, and then I will calculate the last digit over here. Let's call this as last is equals to, and then the last digit will be calculated by x mod by 10, right? So basically you mod by 10, you get the last digit over here. Cool. So now what I'll do, I'll basically do a reverse is equals to, and then 10 into reverse plus my last digit, right? Very simple, very easy. And then what I will do is I will actually divide my number by 10. Cool. So I've actually divided my number by 10. Now comes the important part, returning. So what I can do, I can say that if my x copy, if my original number over here, this x copy was negative, right? If my x copy was less than 0, if it was negative, then what I will do, I will just return negative REV, right? If it was negative, I will return negative. Else, I'll just return positive, right? Else, I'll just return my positive. Cool. So this is how we can do, right? So this is how we can run. If I run this, things will work perfectly fine. Things should work perfectly fine. Okay, now I see. Okay, so there is an issue with our code. What issue? Because I am not doing a math.floor over here, right? So math.floor, because it will give me answer in decimals, right? I don't want any decimal values over here. I want. Cool. So this code runs for these test cases. It's completely fine. Now a little bit of refactoring that we can do in this code is, instead of doing this if else, I can write it in a ternary operator way, right? Do you know what is a ternary operator? This way, right? This is a ternary operator. If people who don't know about ternary operator, please read about it, right? So, or let me just explain you what is ternary operator quickly, right? Suppose, let me just explain it to you, right? So basically, let me just explain it over here, right? So ternary operator. Suppose if you say, if there is a if else condition, if x is greater than 0, then return true, else return false, right? Suppose this is the ternary operator. So what we can do is we can write something, it something like this, return, and then I can write a condition. So basically you write it something like this, right? Just give me a moment. Let me write it and show it to you. A lot of people might not know it. So if x is greater than 0, if this statement is true, question mark, if this statement is true, do this or do this. Right? So basically this is the if case, this is the else case. This is the if case, this is the else case. Okay? So how do you write it over here? You basically let me just write it down over here. So basically how I would modify this code is, how I would modify this code is, just note it down. Return if my x copy, this is how you remember it. If my x copy is less than 0, if my x copy is negative, then what I will do, I will return my rev. So rev is returned. Otherwise, I will just return my rev. Got it? So this is how you can do it, right? Cool. So good, right? So this is how it is. Now this solution is again not correct, right? It is passing all the test cases right now, but this will not work if I will submit it. Why it will not work? I will submit it because I am missing a very important corner case, that is this case. So it says that it should be a signed 32-bit integer. When I say 32-bit integer, my dear friends, so the value should be not less than minus 2 to the power 31 and should not be greater than this number. So what is 2 to the power 31, right? Let me just show it to you. 2 power 31, right? So 2 power 31 is this number. So my solution says if my reverse value, if I'm calculating the reverse value, and if this reverse value go beyond this number, right? If this is my number, so if my reverse value is less than minus this number, or my reverse value is greater than 2 to the power 31 minus 1, right? Minus 1. What is minus 1? It's 47. So basically, if it falls outside this range, so then you have to return 0, right? Then you don't have to return a number, then you have to return 0 over here. Okay, so this is what you have to write. Let me show you how we can write this code. But let me first of all submit it and show it to you that it will not work, okay? So if I submit it, it will not work. See, it says it's a wrong answer for this output, right? It's a wrong, if this is the input, it is wrong output because this goes beyond this range, right? See this. This number is greater than this range, okay? So we have to be well within our range. How do I write that? It's very, very easy. So what I will do is, I will see if my reverse number is greater than my, first of all, let me calculate this 2 to the power 31. How do you calculate 2 to the power 31? Basically, let's calculate our limit. So my limit is basically 2 to the power 31. How do you calculate that? So basically, you can do math.pow. That means power. You calculate power 2 to the power 31. That's how you do it, right? So it will give you the value of 2 to the power 31 like this, right? And now what I will do, I will write code that if my reverse number is less than my minus limit, right? Minus 2 to the power 31, minus limit, right? So basically minus limit, or either it is below that, or it is greater than, right? Or it is greater than math.pow minus 1, okay? If it is greater than my limit, right? If it is greater than the limit, then just return 0. Do you understand that, right? Do you understand this? Right? If it falls below this range, or if it is greater than this limit, then you have to return basically 0. Okay, so you have to basically return 0. So now let us just try to submit it. It should work, right? Let's see if it falls inside that range. Cool. So my solution works. So this is what you can write. This math.power means you are calculating the power 31 of 2, right? 2 to the power 31. This is how you calculate it over here. There is one more way you can write the same thing in JavaScript. Let me just show it to you. Let limit is equals to 2 and then double star 31, right? This is also a way you can write inside JavaScript, okay? So you can say limit is 2 double star 31. This is also a way to calculate power, right? Let me just see if it works, right? So, and yes, so let me just submit the solution and let's see if it works. Cool. So it again works. So you can do it this way also. So note it down, solve the problem for yourself, and this is what the solution is. So cool. This is the solution. So thank you so much for watching this video, my dear friends, right? Hope you would have understood this solution. If you have not understood this solution, please go rewatch this video. And before solving this question, please solve the palindrome question. Over there, I have spent a lot of time in explaining what's happening over here, right? So please follow this series in order because I have sorted these videos in order of complexity. So solve the previous video, then come on to this video. This will make your learning journey smooth. Okay. So thank you so much for watching this video. That's all for this time. I will see you in the next video very soon. Namaste.